Hey guys, how are things? How are things? I hope everybody's okay. Um, so for this video, it's a day in the life in the middle of self-isolation, quarantine, whatever you want to call it. Stay home, shelter in place, whatever the names are. One of the interesting things that's happening for me personally right now is that I don't have a day job. I'm not doing any photography. I'm a school photographer, so all the schools are shut down, and we don't know when or if they'll open back up this semester, and all that's kind of just like out there hanging in the balance. And so I'm just staying home. But that gives me a really unique opportunity to see what life is like as a freelance illustrator. If I worked from home every day and just worked on illustration, worked on different odd jobs. So it's actually a perfect time for me to kind of experiment and see what my day-to-day would be like if I did freelance full-time as a full-time job. Now, the interesting thing is that I have a children's book that I don't have a due date on it, but it needs to get done, and I'm working with a friend of mine. She's an author that I worked with before, and we want to get it done by the end of spring, if sooner. I'm hoping by mid to the end of May, this book will be wrapped up, and so I have that on my plate right now, and so that's the main freelance job that I'm working on. I have other little odd jobs here and there that I'm doing, but those are all personal work. That's either the After Death comic, or I have the 100 Days of Harry Potter challenge that I'm doing right now for the 100-day challenge. And so I've got those little odd jobs that I'll do here and there throughout the day. But I wanted to give you guys a rundown of of the routine that I've established to make sure that I don't go nuts. And it is as follows. I try to get up, get dressed, get coffee or breakfast or both, and I want to sit down in front of my computer by 9 o'clock. My computer or my drawing desk. It depends on whatever the freelance gig that I'm working on at the time would require me. Right now, because I'm working on the children's book, I'm doing color for it, and so I've already got pages drawn and inked, and I scanned them, convert them just to a complete black and white file or drawing, and then I pop them into the computer and doing all the color digitally. So I'm using Clip Paint Studio, and I have a Wacom tablet that I haven't used in years. I had to pull out of retirement. You guys will see a little bit more of that later on. But anyway, the point is that after I get coffee, get breakfast, I try to get in front of the computer for 9 o'clock. And I work on whatever freelance job that I have in front of me from 9 to 12, 9 to 1. I try to give it a good 4 hours. And then I break for lunch. Lunch typically for me is small, a sandwich, chips, maybe a shake or something, like nothing major. And then after that, depending on where I'm at in my freelance gig, if I've gotten to a stopping point and I feel good about it, I leave it for tomorrow. So I give it a good half a day. And then the second half of my day, I either work on whatever personal projects I've got going on. And so that could be the After Death. It could be, I'm doing the Harry Potter challenge, which is 100 days of Harry Potter. It started on April the 7th, so at least at one point during the day I sit down and I work on a Harry Potter illustration, and that kind of goes into me like listening to a part of the book and getting a feel for the scene or the character that I'm trying to illustrate. And I knock that out, and then either work on the After Death or work on whatever personal project that I feel like. And I try to do that until around 5 or 6 p.m. And then I knock off. I'm like, all right, well, that's the end of my work day, and I usually spend the rest of the evening. If I want to draw some more or whatever, if there's nothing else going on, if I'm feeling it, I'll keep illustrating. I don't mind doing that. But sometimes I'll stop and we'll watch a movie or play a board game with the family. Often I gotta stop and make dinner anyway. And so it's just kind of like the rest of the evening from 6 p.m. on is free time. And that's interesting for me because I usually don't have free time. Because when I have a day job, I work all day at my day job, and then after dinner, what I just called free time is actually me working on art, doing my side hustle stuff. And so you guys are gonna get a peek into that with this video. So you'll see my morning, you'll see me working on the children's book, and then, like I said, at some point I'll break for lunch. There's a couple other things that are gonna happen today. I think my postcards are gonna come in, my quarantine postcards. I think I gotta mail out the stickers for the sticker club for Patreon. That needs to get done today. So I have a few other little odd jobs, but today with the children's book, I've only got one page to color, and then after that I'll be done. So I'll probably get done a little bit earlier than 12 or 1 o'clock, and then I'll maybe do some of that before the afternoon when I sit and work on Harry Potter, the After Death. Anyway, it's gonna be fun. I hope it's interesting for you guys, and you guys get to see a little bit of what it would be like if this is what I did all the time. Anyway, but I'll stop yammering on, and we'll get to it. So yeah, So let's go.
Was lying flat on the floor. It's that stupid umbrella stand. That's the second time I've tripped over. but the rest of her words were drowned by a horrible, ear-splitting, blood-curdling screech. The moth-eaten velvet curtains Harry had passed earlier had flown apart, but there was no door behind them. For a split second, Harry thought he was looking through a window behind which an old woman in a black cap was screaming and screaming as though she was being tortured. Then he realized it was simply a life-size portrait, but the most realistic and the most unpleasant he had ever seen in his life. The old woman was drooling, her eyes were rolling, the yellowing skin of her face stretched taut as she screamed, and all along the hall behind them the other portraits awoke and began to yell too, so that Harry actually screwed up his eyes at the noise and clapped his hands over his ears. "Fred! George! No! Just carry them!" Mrs. Weasley shrieked. Harry, Sirius and Mundungus looked around, and a split second later dived away from the table. Fred and George had bewitched a large cauldron of stew, an iron flagon of butterbeer, and a heavy wooden breadboard, complete with knife, to hurtle through the air toward them. The stew skidded the length of the table and came to a halt just before the end, leaving a long black burn on the wooden surface. The flagon of butterbeer fell with a crash, spilling its contents everywhere, and the bread knife slipped off the board and landed point down and quivering ominously, exactly where Sirius's right hand had been seconds before. "For heaven's sake!" screamed Mrs. Weasley. "There was no need. I've had enough of this. Just because you're allowed to use magic now, you don't have to whip your wands out for every tiny little thing." "We were just trying to save a bit of time," said Fred, hurrying forward and wrenching the bread knife out of the table. "Sorry, Sirius, mate. Didn't mean to." Harry and Sirius were both laughing. Mundungus, who had toppled backward off his chair, was swearing as he got to his feet. Crookshanks had given an angry hiss and shot off under the dresser, from whence his large yellow eyes glowed in the darkness. "Boys," Mr. Weasley said, lifting the stew back into the middle of the table, "your mother's right. You're supposed to show a sense of responsibility now you've come of age. None of your brothers caused this sort of trouble?" Mrs. Weasley raged at the twins, slamming a fresh flagon of butterbeer onto the table and spilling almost as much again. "Bill didn't feel the need to apparate every few feet. Charlie didn't charm everything he met. Percy—" She stopped dead, catching her breath with a frightened look at her husband, whose expression was suddenly wooden. "Let's eat," said Bill quickly. "It looks wonderful, Molly," said Lupin, ladling stew onto a plate for her and handing it across the table. For a few minutes there was silence but for the chink of plates and cutlery and the scraping of chairs as everyone settled down to their food. Then Mrs. Weasley turned to Sirius and said, "I've been meaning to tell you there's something trapped in that writing desk in the drawing room. It keeps rattling and shaking. Of course it could just be a bogart, but I thought we ought to ask Alistair to have a look at it before we let it out." "Whatever you like," said Sirius indifferently. "The curtains in there are full of doxes too," Mrs. Weasley went on. "I thought we might try to tackle them tomorrow." "I look forward to it," said Sirius. Harry heard the sarcasm in his voice, but he was not sure that anyone else did.
Hey, what's up, you guys? I wanted to give you a little context for this next part of the video. Is that I'm working on the 6 Fan Arts Challenge, which is on Instagram. And this is an illustration, I think it's of Hi. I don't know. It's the rooster from Moana. Someone suggested that I draw or I'll do an illustration of the rooster, and so that's what I'm doing. So this next section is me actually coloring on Clip Paint Studio this rooster. I just wanted to give you guys a little setup because I think it's weird for me to jump from one project to another on the video and you're like, okay, we're doing this now. So for this next section, I'm illustrating that. I'm doing the coloring on that. So hope you guys like it. And then I'll come back on here real quick just to tell you guys bye. Hey, so I'm back. So I haven't, today's a different day that I'm recording this outro part, and I haven't washed my hair this morning. Anyway, I'm fine. We're all fine. It's quarantine life. It's okay. Thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say before I go is that you watched me do like 2 or 3 different projects today. I didn't cram those things in just for the video. That's kind of like my day-to-day workload that I give myself. I just like to be busy. I like to be productive. It makes me feel better as a person. By all means, I'm not advocating that everybody do that, because everybody has their own pace, but that's just a normal day for me. I just always have 2 or 3 things going that I like just to work on to keep me busy. And even after I quit filming, there's another personal comic that I'm working on. It's a project that's not quite ready for a wider audience yet. It's super personal to me. It's something that is new that I'm working on. Anyway, the point is that I even worked on that a little bit after I quit filming for this video. So yeah, I try to stay busy, and it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me focused, and it's just it's projects that are really they're projects that I'm really passionate about, and so I never get tired of working on them. Like I just love to draw, guys. I just love to be an artist. It's just career-wise, it's rough. It's rough finding work sometimes, but the rewards of just being able to sit down and create things is really cool. It's really cool. Anyway, I thank you guys for watching, and until next time, just take it easy.